Welcome into the San Francisco 49ers Report, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in. As always, I greatly appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day. I'm your host, Chase Sr., and coming up, changes that Niners head coach Kyle Shanahan must make to get the Niners back on track as a football team. Change number one, I think the Niners need to change their team-building philosophy of not prioritizing the offensive line. Look at the top two teams in the NFC. Detroit Lions, Philadelphia Eagles. They are kicking ass and taking names along the offensive line and the defensive line. I'm a firm believer that you build your football teams inside out. The Niners, on the other hand, have built their teams kind of outside in, with the exception of investing money and draft picks along the defensive line. But offensively, or on the defensive line, the Niners have admitted it themselves. They prioritize players who score touchdowns. They prioritize drafting playmakers and skill position players over offensive linemen. I think that's a mistake. You think about some of the top teams in the AFC: Kansas City Chiefs, Baltimore Ravens, Buffalo Bills. Those are always teams who are stout, who are physical along the offensive line and the defensive line. The Niners right now are not good enough along the offensive line, and they don't have enough depth outside of Nick Bosa along the defensive line. So this is a team-building philosophy and a thought process that Kyle Shanahan has to change. And along the offensive line in particular, because I think that's much worse than the defensive line, Jake Brendel, Aaron Banks, and Colton McKivitz are liabilities. They have to go. Jake Brendel is literally, statistically, one of the lowest graded centers in the NFL. Colton McKivitz is not a starting right tackle in this league. And in a contract year, Aaron Banks has been highly disappointing. And right now, the Niners can't run block effectively, nor can they pass block consistently. And bad offensive line play has killed them in big games. Back in February in the Super Bowl against Kansas City. 2022 NFC Championship game against Philadelphia. 2021 NFC title game against the Rams. Aaron Donald ended that game because this Niners offensive line has been suspect. Change number two. Christian McCaffrey has not been right. Is he washed, or is he still working his way off bilateral Achilles tendonitis, or is he just worn down from last year when he led the NFL in touches, had a magical season with more than 2,000 all-purpose yards, was the NFL Offensive Player of the Year, and top 5 in MVP voting? But he's coming off bilateral Achilles tendonitis, yet Kyle Shanahan is running him into the ground and acting as though the Niners don't have two really good backups in Jordan Mason and Isaac Guerendo. Jordan Mason gets one carry last week. After no carries in the first half, it yields immediate results. Jordan Mason runs for 16 yards. The Niners did not have an explosive run play prior to that. Jordan Mason gives him one. Kyle Shanahan takes him right off the field, puts Christian McCaffrey back in the game, and it's more of what we saw all day. McCaffrey's slow, he's indecisive, doesn't have good vision, doesn't have the bounce, doesn't have the explosion. Jordan Mason is so physical. He's a modern-day Marshawn Lynch. He is a tackle breaker. And even if a hole isn't there, he will make a hole himself. Even if there is a defender or two or three right in front of his face, he will run through that defender. That helps a bad offensive line. The 49ers have to run it with Jordan Mason. He's a really good back. And I know that Christian McCaffrey is Shanahan's guy, but he's clearly not healthy. And Shanahan is loyal and stubborn to a fault, and it's really hurting the team this year. It's been masked in previous years. This year, though, it's really hurting San Francisco. How do you expect to win games when you are not playing your best players? That is coaching malpractice right there. You have to play your best personnel. Jordan Mason, in his last 4 games, has 12 carries. He was top 5 in rushing yards before McCaffrey came back coming out of the bye against Tampa Bay. Mason this year has 140 carries for 711 yards, 5.1 yards per carry, and he can't see the field against Green Bay until garbage time? The Niners signed Christian McCaffrey to a contract extension through 2027. You have to preserve his body and conserve his health, Niners aren't doing that. It's idiotic. Change number 3 for Kyle Shanahan. Stop calling running plays for Deebo Samuel. I have been pounding the table over the last couple of weeks. I have been adamant about this. Those plays no longer work. Running plays to Deebo, whether he's in the backfield, end around, jet sweep, direct pitches, outside zone. When Deebo is in motion, when Deebo is in the backfield, defenses know what's coming. It was creative back in 2021. It's no longer creative now. It's way too predictable. And so I've been saying this for weeks. Stop using him as a running back. Also, just look at the numbers. Look at the success rate. Deebo is averaging 2.7 yards per carry. Those numbers have gone down since the bye week. That is a career low by far. And with the Niners and Kyle Shanahan using him too much as a running back, I think his body's taken a toll, and that's why he looks slow. The yards after the catch numbers are down. The tackle breaking numbers have decreased, and he's not the same player. If you're subscribed to us here on the 49ers Report, by the way, give me a real one down in the comments section. Really appreciate your support as we're north of 150,000 subscribers. Today's show, sponsored by our friends at PrizePicks, the best daily fantasy sports app in the game. More than 10 million active members, billions of dollars handed out in awarded winnings. And right now you get $50 when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It's guaranteed, and it's very easy to use. As far as the user interface with this app, you pick 2 or more players, you choose more or less on the projected stats, and you can win up to 100 times your money. So pick more, pick less, run your game with PrizePicks. And again, when you use that link down below, prizepicks.com/CLNS, you get $50 when you play $5. I also love the specials that PrizePicks has. For instance, on Thanksgiving, Tyreek Hill, free square. If he gets 1 yard, that is 1 win. Easy money right there. We'll put that link down below in the comments section and in the description of today's Niners Report. Thank you to PrizePicks for making today's show possible. We move forward on today's show. Change number 4 that Kyle Shanahan must make. Start using more 3 to 4 wide receiver sets. I know that Kyle Shanahan, like he loves Deebo, like he loves McCaffrey, he loves Kyle Juszczyk, but let's get more modern. Kyle Shanahan's offense has become stale. It's become predictable. How do you counter that? You counter that with creativity. You spread it out a little bit. Teams are stacking the box right now, stopping this running game. Let's spread it out with some 4 wide receiver sets, 3 wide receiver sets. Shoot, let's see some 2 tight end sets. You don't have to have Kyle Juszczyk on the field as much as he's been on the field. Change number 5. Shanahan is known as a creative offensive genius, an innovative offensive mind. Where is the offensive creativity from him? His play calling has been porous this year. His sequencing has become porous and predictable. It's as if defenses know what's coming, and they're going into these games with some really good game plans where they stop the Niners. And if they don't stop the Niners in between the 20s, they're stopping them inside the red zone and on some critical money downs. Change number 6. Allow for the offensive line to change protections. Right now, that is not a part of this Niners offense. And Brock Purdy can make some light audibles, but Kyle Shanahan calls these plays so that there are options built within the play. And those play calls and those answers haven't been good enough this year. So give Brock Purdy some onus at the line of scrimmage to change things up a little bit. Quarterbacks take pride in that. Quarterbacks have an innate feel for the game, and they can make good adjustments on the fly to help their offensive unit out. And working off of that, find answers to beat the blitz. Against the Ravens last year, against the Vikings last year, against the Browns last year, good defenses. This year, against Seattle, against Green Bay, against Minnesota, against Kansas City, against some of these quality defenses, they've sent a lot of blitzes toward Brock Purdy, toward Brandon Allen, and Kyle Shanahan hasn't had answers with his play calling, with his play designs, or with simple safety valves, hots, and checks. throw some more screen passes for God's sake. Number 7, figure out a way to beat zone defenses. Brock Purdy has struggled mightily against zone defenses. Against man, though, he has been surgical. Number 8, why have the Niners gone from one of the best yak teams under Kyle Shanahan to 32nd this year? Why have they gone from being very good with target separation at the point of the catch to last in the NFL? It's up to the head coach and the offensive mind to get in the lab, become a scientist offensively, and figure out answers for the flaws, weaknesses, and problems. At number 9, this Niners red zone offense is ranked 25th. Last year, it ranked number 1. Why such a drop-off? For me, a big reason why this Niners offense is struggling, a lack of success rate and efficiency on first down, and really that's not just in the red area. That is anywhere on the field. The Niners on first down are not doing a good enough job of getting themselves into second and manageable, second and short, where you have more of the playbook at your disposal. When you're in those down and long distances, it allows the defense to play back and pin their ears back. And finally, at number 10, bring in an offensive coordinator for a fresh set of eyes on this offense, kind of like how Mike McDaniel served in that role back in 2021 when he kind of came up with some of those ideas to use Debo as that wide back. And then on top of that, bring in a former head coach to help Kyle Shanahan with game management. This is a former head coach who was fired, who wants to get back into football, who is not going to be a head coach again, who just loves ball and wants to try to help this team win a Super Bowl. And that's an OC who can help Kyle Shanahan come up with creative concepts so that this offense isn't as mundane and predictable, and then a former head coach to help with game management. Like, imagine if John Gruden came in here, and you have a John Gruden type who can help out this offensive staff. That dude loves ball, and I think that he'd be able to help out this team, and I think that he meshed well with Kyle Shanahan because both of them love to grind the tape, and they both love football. So fill in the blank. Kyle Shanahan is a top blank head coach in the NFL. Let me know down in the comment section.